Welcome to Cocktails with the Crew, a podcast about wedding planning.
Episode 8.
Hi, my name is Jessica Talzak. I am with Republic NOLA, and this is my co-host,
Jessica Burke with New Orleans Weddings Magazine, and
welcome to episode 8 of Cocktails with the Crew.
Yes, we are very excited to have everyone joining us again. We are going to be talking about some European wedding traditions today.
Yeah, and just kind of the trend of the extended wedding. That's kind of the arcing theme of today's episode.
So if you don't know what that is, stay tuned. You're going to find out.
Yeah.
But in the meantime, as usual, it's Cocktails with the Crew for a reason, and that means that we have a signature drink that Jessica has prepared for us, and she's going to tell us all about right now.
Yeah, so we're calling this one the Stormy Roller. It's geared up for a fall cocktail, but really it could be for any time. But this is with Sailor Jerry spiced rum, a little bit of lime juice, and then it's topped with Gosling's ginger beer and Urban South Holy Roller IPA. So it's a beer cocktail, which is super trendy right now, and it also incorporates in a local brand that we love. We love Urban South. They're awesome.
Absolutely.
One of the best beers in the city. So
can't wait to try this.
Yes.
Well, as we're getting started, we have our first guest to welcome. So if you would like to do the honors.
So this is Samantha with Three Little Words Weddings, our planner guest for the day.
Yes,
thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. And we, of course, cheers to get started. Cheers. There you go. Thank you for joining us. And please have a seat. That's really good. Thank you guys for having me.
Oh, thanks for coming.
Thank you.
That is good.
Yeah.
Really good.
So tell us a little bit about Three Little Words, what you guys kind of do, and the question we've been asking everybody is, what gets you out of bed in the morning?
Yeah, weddings.
Yeah.
I don't even need an alarm clock. So Three Little Words is a wedding planning and coordination company. So I offer full service planning from start to finish. A lot of my clients live out of town. So we kind of specialize in like making that a little easier for them because it can be very stressful.
Right.
When you can't go see your venue or meet with your vendors in person and stuff. And then I also offer coordination. So kind of taking over from a month out after people have carefully planned everything, making sure it all goes according to plan.
Yeah, just taking over during the stressful time.
Yeah. Yes. And I'm there along the way too for advice and questions. I'd rather them ask me as we go, so it's nice to have.
Yeah, it's how we're a big advocate of hiring planners to make your life happier, better, easier. Yes, easier.
Yeah, stress-free, really.
Yes.
When it comes down to it, wedding day should be stress-free.
Yeah, at the very least a coordinator, because you put so much time and money into it, and like you don't want you or your friends or your parents running around and like worrying about stuff, or someone's running late. You don't want them calling you like while you're getting your makeup done. You don't even want to know that that's happening. You know,
you just want it dealt with.
Right? Yeah,
big problem solved.
That's right. That's what I always say. I'm like, I'm there so that everyone, no one's worrying about anything except enjoying themselves.
Yes.
I'm worrying about things.
Right? You have the very worst job, best and worst job. Yes,
it has its pros and cons.
Yes. Yeah. So today we're talking about, we've been talking about traditions the past few episodes. Today we're going to kind of touch on bringing in those old world kind of European traditions and the trend of the multi-day, event wedding.
Or even just a really long reception.
Yeah, even just like that extended reception where things are going from cocktail hour to ceremony to dinner to reception to after party. I'm seeing more and more people trying to do these 5 to 8 hour weddings than ever before.
It's not typical to have a 3-hour reception anywhere else in the country. We just had a bride contact us asking, like, is it normal to only have 3 hours for the reception? She was from Canada. And I'm like, Yeah.
That's something I explain to people all the time. I'm like, it's really different. I'm like, put it on your wedding website, how it works. People need to be prepared that it's unique,
Right.
Yes. So are you seeing a lot of brides, are you finding a lot of brides that are wanting to stick with our tradition, or that they want to embrace theirs and go for that longer event?
Yeah. Each couple is different, and I find they kind of meld things in different ways.
Mm-hmm.
So I have people that'll do, they might do a seat for everyone,
Okay.
but still have food stations, or they might have, a longer cocktail hour or an actual cocktail hour that's like in a different location, which kind of is not really how we usually do it. It's kind of all in one.
Yeah.
And then some people are doing like more formal after parties even to kind of...
So not the bar crawl.
Right,
Yeah.
not just like, let's meet at this bar, but actually planning an after
Yeah,
party.
especially for bigger weddings. You can't just like stroll in with 100 people at the bar.
They probably would not.
Very easily.
Be
So,
very
everyone kind of just incorporates it in different ways, and it also depends on like where they're from. I'm working with a couple where the groom is French, and so they have very long weddings, and they're like all day. So they're doing an hour and a half long cocktail hour, which is like to us is like, wow, that's forever.
It's
but
like half the reception.
Yeah. To the French folks, it's not at all.
Yeah, that's our 15-minute cocktail hour.
Yeah, and the bride is from here in Atlanta, so it's kind of a mix of the two. They come in and they have dinner and then dancing, and then they're also doing a formal prearranged after party. So in total, it'll be 8-9 hours. I think. Like it's going to be a long day.
Yeah, that's awesome. So when you have these really long events, what are ways that you found to break up? I mean, so it's not just like boom, boom, boom. What are there ways to break it up to make it a little bit easier to,
like whether it's changing location or whether it's changing atmosphere altogether or whatever it is. What have you seen that people are doing right now that really breaks that up?
Yeah, so I think for us living here and like myself growing up with the New Orleans, Louisiana style wedding, I thought seated dinners were like only on TV. And I went to my first one a few years ago, like as an adult that I attended as a guest. And I've planned seated dinners as well, but just being there, I was like, this is a lot of sitting.
Yes.
I'm just not used to it. And so people are kind of breaking it up in that way, making the seated part a little shorter, or maybe, like I said, kind of like having the assigned seats, but people still have the freedom to get up and go grab a plate of something else. And
right, so not necessarily plated dinner, but
or served.
Yeah, and I have some people doing family style as well. So
we've seen that a lot here.
Yeah, I've gotten that has really like blown up really just in the last like couple months.
And I feel like that's very European too, to have that kind of more family style meal where everybody's sitting at a table and engaging with each other in a way that's different than just like dancing on the dance floor.
Right, exactly. And again, it's like a blend of the very formal seated and then versus us with like food stations and stuff. It puts everything kind of together.
So what are you finding are the pros and cons of multi-day events or these extremely long events?
Yeah, I think, the pro is more time to enjoy with people, and especially multi-day events, welcome parties, and a brunch the day after.
With destination especially.
Yeah, with destination especially, which like I said, that's most of my people. So having a welcome party, and you can actually go and like talk to everyone. You're not worried about taking photos and cutting the cake and all of that, and just seeing these people that like came all the way here for you, actually getting that time with them, I think is the biggest pro.
Yeah.
A con, not necessarily a con, I just think something people don't always expect is the additional cost. Yeah. I think people are always kind of looking for like, where can I do a brunch for 100 people and we can just show up and like walk in and
it's not gonna happen.
It could be like BYOB or whatever. Like, it's you've got to look around and kind of plan accordingly actually for how many.
You can't just show up and hope it's going to
work. For welcome drinks, like if you've got a smaller crowd, you can say, hey, meet us at this bar, and that's fine. But if it's way more people, you've got to be a little more intentional about it.
What would you say is the number? Like, if you have 25 or less,
you can wing it, but
it depends. So I guess if you have probably 25 or fewer, that would be a good number for, hey, meet me at this bar, because you're going to have people aren't going to come right at the beginning and stay through the end because it's an informal thing. So they'll be coming and going. Like, I think that makes it a little easier. But if you're really if you're having 50 or more people come from out of town and you really think they're all gonna
they probably will.
Yeah, like
case.
if they're here and you're offering them a drink, then sure they're gonna show
Sure,
up.
why
so-
not? Right. Yeah. Drinks are very motivating.
Yeah.
But speaking of food and entertainment, which is what we do really well here, we have some other guests we're going to bring on right after a very, very quick little break here. Come back with us in like 10 seconds. And we'll introduce you to our new guests.
Hey y'all, we'll be right back. Don't run off. Grab a copy of the latest edition of New Orleans Weddings magazine at a store near you, or have a copy mailed to you. Visit thenowbride.com and click on Get a Copy. That's thenowbride.com. Happy planning from the New Orleans Weddings team.
Hi everybody, we are back from that very brief break and we have some fantastic guests. First, I'd like to welcome Leah Berhanu from Pigeon Caterers. And
Johnny Hosey with Blue Earth Productions.
Yes. Welcome to the party.
Here's some cocktails for you.
This is like it.
Yes.
We're just saying that. Drinks are very motivating.
Yes. Cheers.
Cheers.
There's a little beer cocktail for you.
Beer cocktails.
We were just talking about traditions and new traditions and
cocktails.
The beer
best
cocktails
of both
are
worlds.
definitely on the rise.
Yeah,
so.
best of both worlds. I mean, why not? So as we mentioned, Leah is with Pigeon Caterers, so you know all about the food experience.
Yes. Yeah.
And you not only work closely with Republic, but many venues, and so you get to see it all.
Yes,
So.
we do. On our end, we definitely take into consideration the venue, and then of course the needs of the bride and groom, and sometimes the parents, and sometimes you're the therapist that sits in the middle. A reality check conversation.
I love a reality.
Sometimes the actual outline of the menu does determine the outline of the event itself, or the reception, the rehearsal dinner, whatever it may be. So
no, you're fine. I wanted to hear, I know all about Pigeon because obviously we've worked with y'all forever, but for everybody listening who may not know about you, tell us a little bit more about what y'all do and what you bring to the catering world.
So we are a full service catering company. We do have our own staff, bars, equipment. We do have
It's
handful
the definition of
venues.
full service, right?
Absolutely, absolutely.
You don't just do the food.
correct.
Yeah.
And we don't do just weddings, but it absolutely is one of our favorite. The favorite thing to do for all of our staff, for our chefs as well. It allows us to incorporate different cultures, people from different, when I say cultures, I'm talking even New York and Wyoming are different cultures.
Oh, yeah.
It's not even really an international thing. And it's fun. It's fun to have guests come in from other places and get a little bit of New Orleans, and then also giving a little bit of their home as well, which is all part of a couple really personalizing their own wedding. So we like to do that in our food.
And Johnny,
Yes.
tell us about Blue Earth Productions.
Well, Blue Earth Productions started, pretty much as one group, a group called D-Play, now known as Divine Play. And now we're kind of a full service entertainment production.
So what does full service mean in the entertainment world?
Okay, so basically we do provide bands.
Okay.
We're diving into DJs. We're diving into lighting and sound.
Okay.
Pretty much anything that kind of gives us a wow effect, and in relation to whether it's making people dance.
It just enhances that
Yeah,
entertainment.
making like a show,
Mm-hmm.
and that's stepping up the event to that next level. And so basically, like I said, Blue Earth started as D-Play. And a couple years back, we started another group called Got Groove, which has been taken off. Yeah, see, you're already dancing. The name does that.
I even heard the music and
The name does that. The name
Yes.
does that. And then I have another group now called Blue Rhythm. And one of the beautiful things about the company in itself is that we all work together. We're like family. I got Miss Emily Louise over there filming us, and she's here as part of the team and one of the incredible singers. And she, we all rotate as needed. So, that's one of the biggest things. And I was talking to one of your previous vendors about this is consistency. And with Blue Earth Productions now and how the company is with our entertainment is that since we're able to cover each other and always provide a high quality product for entertainment.
If somebody's out sick, you got it covered.
Yeah, we're strong and know each other and know each other's tendencies and moves. So.
Awesome. Well, I know we're talking about traditions and extended weddings, so we're going to talk about food a little bit.
Sure.
So when you're planning a massive wedding, people are going to get hungry. So what can you do to keep things interesting menu-wise across a very extended event?
Yeah, so suppose it's like 6 to 8 hours. Like, how do you break that up to make it make sense?
It depends on some of it depends on the venue, of course, and what all they're trying to get done within their reception. Typically, when a reception is that long, I should say, there are speeches, there are multiple dances. Sometimes there's a surprise. There are multiple bands. So we'd like to allow the menu itself to flow with all of those changes. If it is an 8-hour reception, you can have an hour and a half long cocktail hour. And you can do oysters and a cheese display in addition to past hors d'oeuvres and allow guests to be able to enjoy all of that and then shift into the next meal. Sometimes it is seated dinner or family style to allow there be some silence in the room for all of the speeches. Exactly. My personal favorite is family style versus the seated buffet. Seated dinner.
I agree.
It allows for multiple entrees and multiple side options, and it does allow for all of the guests at the table to interact with each other. I do look at it like Thanksgiving dinner.
So now when we're saying family style, I just want to make sure everybody understands, like, the food, you're putting food in the middle of the table.
Yeah, so
it's a buffet for everyone at each table versus having to walk over to a station
across the room.
I know the way that we've done it with you guys has been like a plated salad or soup that's already at the seat when they sit down, and then you bring out entrees and side items all to share, basically. So everything's placed in platters on the center of the table. Everybody passes it, and like you said, it gives you multiple entrees, multiple sides, so you get to meet all those dietary restrictions too.
Absolutely. And if you are, some couples would like for everyone to be comfortable while they are having their dances. I always ask those questions. I'm like, look, let's talk about what all do we have to get accomplished during the reception, because that determines how long we have to make sure they're seated, which does help with the preset. The super salad, and then of course if you're like, look, I don't care, everybody can just go do whatever they want whenever they want, and that's when the 4 hour works really well. We just open everything up and like, look, it's gonna 15 minutes be chaotic, and then everybody will find themselves on the dance floor or a seat or food, and we'll be fine. So it definitely just really all relates to the timeline itself. And if we do seated or family style dinners, we do tend to open up a couple of stations after dinner.
You do something really cool, the late night snack.
That's my favorite.
Those are, love it.
Yeah.
That is, after drinking for about a good 4, 5, 6 hours.
When you see someone coming at you with a cheeseburger,
and we walk to the dance floor. It's like,
seriously,
no offense to the music, but my gosh.
They do the coolest little, like, espresso shooters with little mini beignets.
I know, I love that.
Grilled cheese has been like...
We just rolled out a whole late night menu with Pigeon that's awesome, and it's got like a lo mein noodle station. So you can get late night Chinese food in a little Chinese container.
Exactly.
Yeah. Like, it's perfect,
My favorite takeaway, we do a lot of those as well, since it's New Orleans, we typically do second lines at the end of the night. So having, which we did, the little to-go bags, it's a little lunch bag with wrapped mini muffalata. Sometimes we'll even do a little slice of cake.
Yeah.
And Advil. A bottle of water and Advil.
Love that.
Take your little bag with you. And that's just like their fuel to be able to go to the bar after dinner, right?
It's
all of that.
Exactly. It's not only taking care of people while they're here, but it's taking care of them after they even go.
Exactly.
So
you really want to be able to make it to that post-wedding brunch in one piece.
Yeah.
It's true.
It's true.
Love it.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, and then bridging over and talking about entertainment.
Keeping the party going.
Yeah. How keeping the party going and stuff, and it's something that I know that we've done with you guys before is the second line. So you guys basically can get off stage and lead.
I think one of the events we worked with you, the client actually wanted a tuba to be involved with the actual band too.
Yeah.
So he was on stage with us for the last hour.
That's awesome.
And I mean, we just started playing all this New Orleans music. And you know what? I mean, ultimately it's about, I'm in the business of giving clients a reason to celebrate and be happy. You know, we're not prima donnas. We're not, you know, it's just have fun. Mm-hmm. And that's why, I mean, after you eat all this good food, you have to have something to work
Well, you
off.
have to work on.
Yeah, have to be like,
get on the dance
look, we
floor.
want them to be in the negative category of calories after they're done with it. You know.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming you'll read the crowd, see what they're feeling. How do you engage the crowd? If you say there's a lull, what would you do to?
Well, that's unique to each group.
Yeah.
You know, it really is. And I always, even when talking to us, I say, know your group, know who you're hiring, research them. I always encourage meetings, you know, because leading into your question, it's each group has a different way of doing that. Like, for example, Deep Play. We're more of a show. Like, we are nonstop. Like, we don't take pauses between songs. It's boom, 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 boom. And rarely do we find ourselves talking to the crowd unless it's within the song. And so that really helps because it's like we treat it like we're a DJ. I looked at DJs and said, why do people like DJs? There isn't.
It just keeps going.
Yeah,
right.
It keeps going.
Never
It plays to your attention span. Yeah. You know, because it's getting shorter and shorter as the brides get younger and younger.
Yeah.
But so that's the way we do it. And from there, you know, of course, I'll just read the crowd. Okay, well, I saw them reacting.
Do they need to slow dance or do they need a...
But we also do, the really cool thing about that is I get to test it within our, medleys, for example. So we'll do a medley that goes from Ain't No Mountain to Shut Up and Dance back to back.
Nice.
And then it jumps into, some Pitbull right after that. So during that medley, each song is not too long to get people locked in. It's just short enough to see what people are reacting
It's the part of the song that's going to really get
them.
Well, and like you said, that's why people choose a DJ typically is because they like to not hear a whole song. Mm-hmm. Like, they want to hear those mashups. That's what DJs do well, you know? Exactly. So that's great to have a band that can do that live.
Translate that. Yeah.
And then to go on to another style, you have Got Groove, for example. Patrick and Siobhan, who are the lead singers for that, have extensive MC experience. Bourbon, hosting events, burlesque events too, and they're just outgoing, and just so social and so unique. So when they see a client, they, for example, Patrick will freestyle about the wedding.
Oh, nice.
So he'll see there and he'll see something cool. He'll see somebody out in the crowd and he'll talk about what they're wearing. Or he'll talk about, what the groom is dancing to or whatever, So totally, he's from Philadelphia, so he's got that in him.
Nice.
And and Siobhan is the same thing. They're just so, she's known for, so they interact in a different way, and from that interaction, they're able to kind of pick up on the vibe of the party and the clients and develop their flow.
That's so important to be able to gather that information on the spot and just translate it into an experience.
And to be able to know, okay, well, we plan to have a cocktail hour with slow music for the first hour, but then after 45 minutes, people are looking like they're, bored and not having it. And to be able to just be okay, we're going to switch gears now and do something different. It's important to be able to, realize when you need to change,
Here is the one thing you don't want to do. You don't want to be intrusive.
Mm-hmm.
So while people are sitting there, you want to go up, start singing in everybody's face, and everybody's going, whoa, whoa, whoa.
Right.
Whoa.
For that. It's about reading it, right? It's about reading the crowd.
And so be able to make that transition smooth, test the water, see if they're ready. But there does come a point where it's okay,
you're the leader.
You're too much. You're watching this too much. Yeah. All right, time. You see the space right over there. All this. Take 10 steps to the stage. It's about to get this party rolling.
Right.
So being able to know when it's that critical point of being able to flip.
And I'm sure you work, with the other people who work with planners and specific. You're really calling the timeline, the shots. You're reading the crowd too, because you have things that need to happen. So, how do you work with the other vendors to make these events happen?
I always feel like my job is A, to make my clients happy, but B, to help everyone else do their job well.
Yes.
So I always talk with everyone before the wedding, obviously, to make sure that what I've planned works for them and that they think it's enough time. And then I'm constantly touching base with the band or the caterer, making sure, hey, we're on time, or hey, we're going to have to, hey, we're going to have to do cake a little bit later. They're over it. They don't want to go do the cake right now, so let's push that a few songs later.
Right.
I just constantly in touch and kind of, I have my finger on the pulse, like very directly with the couple.
So you work as the go-between, so the couple doesn't have to go and tell the
band,
right. If it was set for 10:30 for cake, it's going to be 11. Just, no big deal.
Or even they wanted to do XYZ and then now they're completely over it, or they really had this like one photo they wanted and they haven't gotten it yet, so we need to go do that before we can do the bouquet and garter toss. Just whatever it is, I'm always checking in on them and then checking in with everyone else and making sure they're ready for when it's going to happen or adjusting if we need to.
I was going to say, to add to that is what she touched on. I think the key word is absolute flexibility. And communication. From both sides. And with her, she's going back and forth with the bride and groom, but sometimes she's so crazy, we're seeing things happen, and we may even see we'll find you and say, hey, we think it might be a good time to do the cake cutting right now because the crowd still seems to be working into it. Not yet. So communication and flexibility. We always have a timeline. We try to follow it, but it's an event.
It is, and it's a live event.
It's production.
It's organic. It's going to happen the way it's meant
I always
to
tell all my couples that I'm like, we're going to make a plan, but you cannot get upset day of if it doesn't go exactly minute by minute according to plan. Like,
who wants to go to a party that's like that?
Right? Yeah. Just too. Anytime you try to get too structured, I feel like that's when people's expectations get let down. Like, you need to have a general plan, but then also allow for those moments that lead you into just having it happen organically. Like if somebody, your dad's speech was only supposed to be 5 minutes, but he gets off on a tangent and it's a good tangent.
There have been some really good
but he goes on for an extra 10 minutes. Just let it happen because it's a great moment. You have to just be willing to let it happen as well.
And I like to give windows of time versus it's not going to happen at 9:27. It's going to happen between 9:15 and 9:45. It gives and I always account way more time for each thing to actually happen. So if you do fall back a little bit, you're not feeling really stressed or having to rush.
And the reality, I think the day goes so fast. Even if it is a 6-hour reception, it goes so fast. It's like that, and it's over, and you don't even really realize. So having someone there to say, "Hey, we really need to cut the cake. People want to eat some cake. Let's go." It's helpful to have that, right? Because otherwise you'd be rolling out to the end of the reception, and no one's got their slice of cake.
It's so once again, it's so important to like I said, have that flexibility to do it because we try to actually take. With the flow of the wedding, so you get maximum time. Let's say with band, we try to make our breaks count based off events. So, if you come to me and say, "Hey, we're going to cut the cake now," cool. Can we take a break?
You can only do so much.
And so, even we hate to not take it if there's not an event happening, whether it be the garter bouquet, cake cutting, toasts. We don't like to take a break. We like to be on stage because that the bride and groom are there.
I always try to time that planner-wise, always trying to make sure.
You need some downtime, to get a glass of water.
And if you do end up, trying to do the cake cutting when it's the bride's favorite song, you're not getting her off the dance floor.
No, it's not.
You're not going to get, and so it's always perfect when it happens that way because it allows everyone to just kind of shift into that little mode. Gives about 10 or so minutes, eat cake at that point if you'd like to, and then the band is back and you're ready to go again. So it's always
it's all about flow. It's all about flow.
Well, it's like just rolling with the event, just like our drink,
right?
Cheers! Hey, look, it's a great drink.
Glad you like it.
It's awesome. I'm an interested.
I'm a beer girl, so
this is good stuff right here. We will have the recipe online later. Just saying. But I want to thank every one of y'all for coming today. Thank you so much. It's been awesome. I hope you enjoyed the drinks. conversation. We appreciate you being here.
Yeah.
Thank you for
One
having
last
us.
cheers.
Cheers.
Yeah.
All right. Here.
Well, we gotta say something.
Cheers.
Cheers to
Cheers to the crew.
cheers to the crew and having a good time. It's all about having a good time.
Lost the one. Lost the one. And thank you everybody for joining us for Cocktails with the Crew, episode 8. Come back next week for episode 9. See you then. Cheers.
Thank you.
Cocktails with the Crew is a New Orleans Weddings Magazine production, filmed on location at Republic NOLA in New Orleans Warehouse District, featuring host Jessica Talazak, Director of Special Events for Republic NOLA, and Jessica Burke, Publisher of New Orleans Weddings Magazine. Audio recording by Ellen Kramer. Video by Brian Jarrow. Theme music Blues Genius by Steve Fox. Copyright 2019 New Orleans Weddings Magazine.